more I want to hit at. And this one, we're just kind of essentially talking about, but just to make sure we reiterate, because there are a lot of those people that play Dynasty or get stuck with a crap orphan or have a horrible first startup, and they're like, shit, I'm screwed. But you've already talked about how you've taken some like pretty bad teams, embraced the productive struggle, and now you've got these monsters that I still just look at. I'm like, oh my good Lord. Like, how does he have that team? So can you just kind of summarize one more time for everybody? What do you mean by productive struggle, and like, how does that play out?
Yeah, productive struggle or rebuild, it's just like one where you're kind of intentionally losing. And by intentionally losing, I don't mean like be sleazy and bench your studs. What I mean is like you're trading a lot of your top players away and getting draft picks in return. So by matter of those trades, your teams aren't scoring as much. So you're productively struggling because you're building towards the future. You're not just like losing for the sake of losing, right? That's where that term comes from. And you know what I do in a lot of those teams is I try and keep as many points off my team as possible. I basically completely disregard starting roster requirements. I'll pick up like guys off waivers to fill it if I need to, but I'm only focused on value. So I'm just trying to build as much value as I can, accumulate as much value as I can. And the easiest way to do that is to acquire future rookie picks. And then, you know, when the rookie draft comes, I will pick some of those rookies that I really like, but a lot of the time I will trade out into veterans and future picks. And what that allows you to do is you don't want to be in the middle, right? Being in the middle in Dynasty is probably the worst place you can be. You hear it all the time. You either want to be number one or you want to be last place, because if you're last place, you get the best rookie picks, and that's how you turn your teams around. So the productive struggle is really pushing you to the bottom so that you can gather the picks and gather the value over time to then flip it around and immediately go from bottom to top versus like slowly trying to climb your way up, which is probably impossible.
Absolutely. Makes complete sense. And some of the teams, again, you've shown that have embraced that. If you haven't checked it out already, go to Bunk Bed Breakdowns. Mike has an awesome one titled like How I Got the Best Wide Receiver Dynasty Team of All Time. And it truly is like breathtaking, some of these teams. It goes to show. It's hard for me to picture that, like just tanking, I don't want to say tanking, but tanking in a way to get up there. It's like so hard for me pride wise, but then I see these teams. I'm like, all right, you're helping me like reframe how I think about fantasy a lot when I approach Dynasty. So the last couple here that I just want to quickly hit with you. You've mentioned a lot of what you do is trading, and that's how you've like really built these juggernauts, whether it's through acquiring rookie picks and then flipping them or, you know, capitalizing. But how do you approach trading? What are some like the best strategies you would say for Dynasty trading?
Yeah. So I say this all the time, but like I really believe this. Like I feel like redraft leagues, they're won and lost in the draft. Like sure, you might get that miracle like waiver wire pickup, and you know we hear those stories all the time. But more or less, if you fuck up your draft in the first 2 to 3 rounds, it's over for you in redraft. Right? It's over. Like if CMC goes down, you're done. Like I had a redraft league. I drafted Barkley and George Kittle last year. They went down. It's over. It doesn't matter what I did. I wasn't going to win, right? So, but in Dynasty, you can mess up and you players go down to injury, but you really win through trading. I am a volume trader. Like I am trading. I'm always the most active in my leagues. And in startups, like give you a sense, like one of my startup drafts, I think there were like 15 trades total. 12 of them were me, right? So, and it's like, you know, people always do this and they'll go in the chat. They'll be like, hey, if you're interested in this pick, like send me an offer. Like, what you don't realize is everyone's lazy. Everyone's also like you. They don't want to go out and put in the effort. So what I'm doing is like when I'm on the clock, I'm not going in the chat and saying, hey, send me offers. I'll do that. But then I will literally go and send offers to 5 or 6 people. And you might miss on 80% of them. You probably will miss on 80% of them. But when you hit on one of them and someone says, hey, I'm interested, but that's a little bit too much for me, you can get into a conversation. You know, Dynasty is about building long-term trade partners. You're not trying to fleece people. Because if you constantly fleece people, they will not trade with you anymore, right? So the key to Dynasty is making trades that are fair at the moment, but you think are going to be a landslide down the line. So to give you an example of that, you know, at the beginning of last year, was it beginning of last year, maybe the year before that, like, you know, before DJ Moore truly like broke out, I was a big fan of DJ Moore, and Chris Carson was like a workhorse running back, right? So I gave like Chris Carson and Marlon Mack, who also at the time, you know, was coming off a big season, for DJ Moore and like a second round rookie pick, right? And at the time, it's like, damn, you're crazy. Why are you doing that? Because like Chris Carson's a stud, you know, Marlon Mack's a stud, and then a year later, it's like trying to get that trade back. People will laugh at you, right? So it's about making fair trades in the moment that you think will pay off down the line. And that's really how I think about trading, is like I'll construct trades that are fair on trade calculators, that are fair based on ADP, that are fair based on the now, because what I want is I want that ascending player. So usually I'm trying to give away players that are fair, but I think will be declining. So older players, for younger players that are, equal value right now, but a year or two down the line, one's going up, one's going down. So obviously value will diverge. So that's kind of how I think about it. And again, you have to really understand your league mates' tendencies. Take the time that you would have spent watching film on, Najee Harris, and take that and try and engage with your league mates and try and understand what their thought processes are. What do they use? What trade calculators do they use? What pods do they listen to? Understanding your league mates and understanding what players are value is really going to be helpful. And don't just send trades to like people for players you want. Try and take a look at their team first and be like, hey, can I help this person? All right. Do they need wide receiver? Do they need running back? If you go to a team and you need wide receivers and they have are, running backs, and they also need wide receivers, it probably doesn't make sense for you to trade. Right. So try and make trades that make sense for both parties, because, truly the best trades are the ones where, like, if you're about to hit send and you're sweating a little bit, that's how you know you're about to put out a fair trade offer. And that's usually the litmus test for me. It's like, if I'm sending an offer, I'm like, yeah, this is a smash. Chances are they probably also think it's a smash. You're going to get denied. So, don't try and like constantly try and fleece people. Start engaging those conversations, and don't be that guy that just lowballs people. I have people in my leagues that just like lowball all the time, and I'll tell you what happens and how I treat them is I just stop engaging. Like, I'm like, hey, I have many other things where I can spend my time, where I don't need to waste my time with you. So you're going to lose trade partners by doing that in Dynasty. And that's not what you want to do, because if you don't trade, you will not win.
100%. I think that's even, there's people in like my hometown leagues and everything, like redraft wise, that they sent me a trade offer so insulting like 10 years ago. I still won't ever even talk to them. So I can only imagine like in Dynasty, where it's that much more crucial to be pulling off trades. You don't want to be that douchebag that's like trying to fleece everybody, at least on the complete surface. The way some of these, that trade you just explained, you fleeced that guy, but it was because you had better foresight with it. And I love that idea of like looking at what looks fair in a calculator, but in your own mind, if you're smart enough and playing that longer game, or you got these guys you really believe in, it can really pan off. And that's why, again, a resource like getting direct access to Mike can be so helpful. Is a trade calculator is not going to tell you these things, but when you get the Discord or an ability to connect with somebody like that, it makes all the difference in these types of things. So that's why I'm so excited to be part of that.
On the flip side, just on the flip side of that, like, you know, if someone sends you an insulting offer, and I used to do this when I first started, and I was just a rookie, right? They send me an insulting offer, I'm like, dude, like this is stupid. Why are you sending me this? Don't do that either, because sometimes they might not know. I mean, it could be a guy who thinks that's a fair offer for them, but they just don't know. But you don't want to burn that bridge by making them feel stupid. You just say, like, look, thanks, man. I think we're just very far apart on value. And I'll tell you, I have many trades that have evolved from stuff like that. And the old me would have been like, you're stupid, forget you. But you know, as I've evolved a little bit more as a Dynasty player, I just like, hey, like, I think we're off on value here. This is why I think that. And sometimes I'm like, okay, whatever, like, I don't care. But other times you'll get someone like, oh, like, look, I didn't think about it that way. What about this? And then you'll find another trade avenue. Now, the ones that I ignore are the ones that constantly do it. And you know, they're that guy. So I ignore those people. But, you know, if you're just your first time playing with a bunch of new Dynasty players, don't be like offended like by trades. Just, you know, just try and engage in conversation with them. And, you know, sometimes it might just be low ballers for sure, right? But other times you'll find that you'll build like a nice trade bridge from someone because you chose to engage with them positively versus like calling them stupid.
You're speaking like directly to my soul right now, because that's exactly like how I would react. Like, screw you, don't want to talk to you again. But in Dynasty, you can't be like that, or else it's gonna, you know, unless you realize the person is truly a serial, just low baller. It's at least worth trying to repair or like see what's the mindset. Yeah, I got to try to embrace that, because I am pretty quick to just be like, screw you. Like, no, I'm done with you. So yeah, that's something I will definitely embrace. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.